WIBTA if I don't tell my parents about my ADHD diagnosis. I am and received an ADHD diagnosis back in April of this year. I am aware that there are stats out there suggesting parents of an ADHD or autistic child have at least a 40% chance of having one or the other themselves, sometimes both. My inclination to keep quiet comes from their behavior in the past when I have talked about health with them. At 14 I went to them saying I think I have depression. I'd printed off some info about depression from the NHS website and some other places like mental health charities. Their reaction was to say there's nothing wrong with you and don't believe everything you read on the internet. At another point when I was 14, or thereabouts, my mum told me that she has to love me but she doesn't have to like who I am as a person. This was because I was dressing in black, wearing chains and listening to metal/goth music. Since then, I've been quite aware that I am not what she wanted in a child. At 15 in the UK, you can go to the GP on your own, which is what I did. They referred me to talking therapy. At 16, I was diagnosed with something called chronic daily headache syndrome and prescribed low-dose antidepressants to help with the pain. At 17, I was officially diagnosed with depression and put on regular/full-dose antidepressants. Despite this, my dad continued to refuse there was anything wrong and was still telling me the antidepressants were for my headaches until I was 21. Similarly, in my 20s I became aware that major depression can be classed as a disability. I ticked guaranteed interview boxed on job applications. This allows disabled candidates a guaranteed interview if they meet the requirements of the role, and registered as having a disability with my HR department. I have since also received diagnoses for physical disabilities. My mother spent most of my 20s telling me I shouldn't be telling anyone I'm disabled because they'd use it against me. These conversations always felt a lot like my mother just wanting me to pretend everything was okay. So now, even though they show some traits themselves, I don't know whether I want to disclose being ADHD to them. I grew up in a time where it was seen as naughty boy syndrome or a simple case of poor behavior/poor parenting. Whereas I did, mostly, well at school, and have a degree. We don't have the most open of communication, and honestly, I stopped telling them most stuff about my life years ago because it always ended in criticisms. It was easier not to bother. My dad is 70, my mum is 63. I expect, even if they knew and I pointed out the stats of their potentially having it too, that they would never bother to pursue it. They tend to ignore anything mental health related. I could easily see my dad saying what's the point? Even so, a part of me feels like I could be depriving them of something by not bringing it up. With all that, WIBTA if I don't tell them. Comment. What would you possibly be depriving your parents of? The chance to yet again deny that anything might be going on with you. Because they would deny, if past behavior predicts future behavior. But you can trot out yet another diagnosis if you want to. NTA. If they don't believe you have it, what makes you think the thought that they could have it would ever cross their minds? It won't. You're just setting yourself up for more doubts and ignorance. They've proven you can't trust or speak to them about your health. Don't give them more of yourself to doubt and ignore. Keep it to yourself. They aren't supportive and I feel you're truly looking for that support. It's not actually the worry they might have it that makes you want to tell them. You're seeking their belief and acceptance, but as this person says, past behavior proves that will never happen. Look after yourself, let them think what they want. Medical information is personal. Not their business. You're being smart by not fighting that battle when you know it's just going to create tension. You know your truth and that it won't change theirs. No need to feel guilty for self-preservation, and you can always change your mind in the future. My husband has a similar story to you. He swore something was wrong when he was young but his parents brushed it off, and he is now no contact with them because things never changed, and he also received his diagnosis recently for ADHD. Don't let their doubts and frustrations keep you from pursuing a great life. Ask yourself what you need from telling them. For example, if it's comfort, do you think you'll receive it? If not, then maybe come up with a plan that will help you stay true to yourself and not fall victim to their ignorance. Sending good vibes for a happy and fulfilling life. INTA if you didn't tell your parents. If your parents have survived up until this point without knowing that diagnosis, they'll be fine for the rest of their lives. You're good. I doubt anything will even change. They have their own belief, and now considering their age, if you try to convince them otherwise it will hardly work. And as you said, they won't pursue it. You won't be the asshole, but given the past you mentioned, it will be pointless. Next story 2. AITA for ignoring my autistic friend over the summer without explanation. My autistic friend Robin joined my school 3 years ago. She was struggling with making friends and I felt bad for her, so I reached out. I didn't fully understand what autism was and I did my best to be patient and make sure she felt comfortable around me. One time, one of my other friends disagreed with her on her hyperfixation. She got aggressive and threw a pen at her. I snapped at her to stop it because I was worried that she'd attack my friend if things went on. It might have been too loud or too aggressive because she got really angry with me and wouldn't talk to me for a week. I was worried I triggered her in some way, but I didn't regret standing up for my friend. I tried to explain to her why I did it, but she wouldn't listen. This became a common recurrence, with her ignoring me or storming off whenever I tried to explain my side of the story or something I thought she should change. Eventually the problems in our friendship got worse and worse. She constantly demanded my attention and threw a fit whenever I was talking to my other friends. I was never allowed to disagree with her on anything, and if she disagreed with me, often aggressively, I would have to apologize to her. I confronted her about this multiple times and told her that it was affecting me a lot, and she told me I didn't have autism, so you don't know what it's like, and that I was being ableist by expecting her to know exactly how to behave around me. Again, when I tried to tell her how to make people less uncomfortable, she ignored me. I got really sick of having to endure her problems and also of patiently explaining things to her when she clearly wouldn't listen or change. Towards the end of the school year I texted her that I didn't want to talk to her over the summer unless she changed and deleted her number. I felt a bit guilty but glad I finally got to enjoy a bit of time off from her tantrums. Now I'm back at school and a lot of people are treating me differently. Apparently, as I recently found out, she told everyone I'd cut her off without explanation, knowing that she didn't have any other friends to turn. She also said I demanded that she change her autism and that I was continuously ignoring her needs as an autistic person and blaming her when she didn't understand social cues. I am still very mad at her for making half the grade think I'm an ableist, but I also feel like an asshole for making her feel the way she does. AITA. Comment. Autism doesn't excuse repeated aggressive behaviors as an almost adult. It's possible she hasn't had the support she needs from therapy or parents to learn how to better regulate her emotions, but that doesn't mean you have to put up with it. I say this as a partner of an autistic person and a parent of an autistic child. She's using autism as an excuse for bad behavior. If learning to not get aggressive over disagreements is changing her autism, then yeah, she does need to change her autism. She's high functioning enough to be capable of that. You're her friend, not her mother. Granted, I don't understand how badly autism can affect someone, but it seems like she is very conscious of what she is doing and using her disability as an excuse. She needs professional help. You don't have the adequate tools to help her right now. Autism doesn't make you an aggressive asshole. I also raised an eyebrow at the people treating you differently because you aren't being friends with her. What's stopping them being friends with her? For the people treating you differently, just explain that she was being controlling and aggressive, that she manipulated you with the silent treatment for disagreeing with her, and that you didn't want to stick around for a friendship that made you feel like shit. If you really need some ammo against her rumors, you can toss some buzzwords like gaslighting or boundaries in there. Turn it around on her so she isn't ostracizing you for trying to maintain reasonable boundaries with someone who makes you uncomfortable. Next story 3. AITA for criticizing my friend for focusing too much on his fiancée when I'm supposed to be the best man. So my best friend, whose name is Sam, is getting married next spring and he has asked me to be the best man. Even though I don't really want to be the best man, I still agreed to do it since I do consider him a close friend. I have an issue with him where a couple of years ago he promised me that he would take me to go to Miami, and I feel like he is going back on his word, as he said that he would do this before both of us get married. I tried asking him if he could do it sometime this January and he said probably not. I'm upset cause he promised me about 5 years ago that he would take me to go scuba diving in Miami and the Florida Keys. I can't drive, so he said back then that he was willing to take me. I keep on failing my driver's permit test no matter how hard I tried. I got upset, so I went and told my other friend named Hank. Hank is upset that I'm canceling this trip to his hometown, and so he responded rudely telling me that I should ask my parents or my friend Patrick to take me. The problem is that my parents can't drive long distance cause they're old. It is a lot of driving from South Carolina to Miami. Then my friend Patrick isn't an option either, as I had a meltdown with him on a trip to New York City back in July, and now he doesn't want to do trips with me anymore. I'm upset cause I don't have any way to get down to Miami. I've criticized Sam and told Hank and all of my other friends that Sam is selfish and too into himself cause all he focusing on now is his wedding. He promised me that he would take me to Miami before he gets married and now he's not taking me. I am furiously angry and I want to lash out at him at his wedding. Hank told me you don't deserve to be the best man if you're gonna act like this. You're a total tool and asshole. I don't get why no one understands how much it hurts that Sam is going back on his promise. I want to go scuba diving in Miami and the Florida Keys so bad. Hank keeps on telling me well too bad then. I guess you're never going scuba diving now. Deal with it? I'm just about 2 inches from lashing out in a horrible way. How am I an asshole for criticizing Sam for not keeping his promise? How is it bad for me to act like this when I'm supposed to be the best man? I have bipolar so I get super mad when I am disappointed. Comment. You're not entitled to a free trip to Miami. And if you don't want to be his best man, say so he can choose someone more deserving of the honor. Your friend has grown up. Perhaps you should consider doing the same. Grow up. He doesn't owe you. Life happens and things change. It's been 5 years. You've had plenty of time to go. You didn't. There are plenty of ways to get yourself to Miami without driving yourself. Quit expecting everyone else to cater to you. Dude. You sound like a 5-year-old shouting but you promised. You are in your 30s, that's old enough to know that life happens and sometime promises are more like hopes or wishes. Your friend isn't your parent or family and you aren't a little kid. I googled it and you can scuba dive in South Carolina. Being bipolar is no excuse to treat the people in your life like shit, get help, get meds, and grow up. If you want to go to Miami, get a bus, a plane, a train, there are so many other ways to get there than just driving. No one owes you a trip anywhere. You do not sound like a best man in any shape or form, rather a toddler throwing a tantrum. Be happy for your friend for getting married. And if you can't manage that, don't attend. Sounds like he is the only friend you have left. One friend won't be in a car with you because of your behavior and another friend has had it. Yet you cannot see what that means for you. You are being spoiled and acting entitled. Sure, everyone would love for promises to be kept, but sometimes priorities shift and that's what happened here. You are not the priority and you shouldn't be a priority. If you want to go somewhere so badly, figure it out on your own. WIBTA. And I doubt you will be best man for long. Sounds like Hank will be sitting down with Sam to discuss your behavior. And he should, because it's disgusting.